All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Anna Chase, the Vice President of Marketing at Short Par 4. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do at Short Par 4 and how you got there?
Hi, thank you. So at Short Bar 4, like you said, I'm the head of marketing here. So I oversee our marketing team. We are 11 people right now. Our marketing team consists of content creation, paid media, organic, e-commerce, graphics. So kind of span the gamut. That's really everything. In today's world, as you know, sales and marketing are much the same. So really overseeing sales, and then I do some into product development. But Short Par 4 is really unique, and I should probably start by telling you a little bit more about us, and then I'll tell you about how I got here. So Short Par 4 has been in the industry for 11 years. We started as a mystery subscription box 11 years ago. And then over the years have evolved our business model. So while we still have mystery subscription today, we are so much more. We actually flipped in July of this year our business to offer more to our customers. So we're constantly innovating. So we have subscription, we have an online shopping, normal D2C commerce space. We have our own owned brand, which is 1764 Golf. And then we have what's called Golf Text, which is an SMS platform for golf deals. So we kind of run the gamut. And so with that, it's a pretty big brand umbrella that you have to get to. So a little bit more about me. I started my career out early in television. So got out of school, graduated actually a year early. I moved to San Diego because what jobs were there in Florida at that time, which is kind of funny. I'm from Sarasota, and there was only healthcare and finance really in the industry of what I knew. So went to San Diego with a communications and marketing degree, and I was like, well, gosh, what can I do? Got into TV. I did television production. I directed a morning news show, moved into TV production of that, and found that it didn't pay you anything at all. I worked three other jobs and was like, I don't think that this is for me. Some family circumstances happened, and then I moved back to Florida. At that time, Tervis Tumbler, which is the insulated drinkware company, which is now Tervis, was going through a really big rebrand. My mom worked there at the time. And I went in to interview. I interviewed for four different positions. None of them made any sense for me. So they created a role on their marketing team for me, which was really nice. Went in and started my career in marketing and branding. I say that was my first big girl job. I went from Tervis, I was recruited. I went to Boar's Head. I finished my master's, which is from Full Sail in digital marketing. At the time was very new. Social media was just really starting, how we utilize it, how we leverage it. We had Facebook, but it had only been around for like 5, 6 years. Instagram was brand new. I mean, it was really bad filters and everything had a border around it. So,
Right.
um, really working with brands, the brand Boris had trying to figure out how do we leverage this new digital space. Learning a lot in consumer product good companies. I left there. I went to an agency, helped start that up. We had Hard Rock, Seminoles. At the time, we had a really big juice company, which has since been bought, but it's called Noble Juice. It competed with like a Natalie's or an Indian Hill or Indian River, I think is actually what it's called. Juice there, and then left that, went into nonprofit for a couple years, which was totally mind blowing. Then I was recruited from that to work for a baby and kids company as their VP of marketing, overseeing OTC medicines and homeopathic, which was really interesting, very challenging time because you deal with the FDA. I wanted a little bit of a change in my career. So I took a step back and worked again remote at an agency. I have a 4-year-old daughter. So at the time, she was a little baby. It was nice for me to kind of just take a breather. And then I found I was a square peg in a round hole. And for me personally, what I like is the 360 view of a business. That's really where I shine. I like high level strategy, and that's where I've grown to in my career. And so that kind of just going in at one point wasn't helping me solve problems and issues. So it was honestly a big Hail Mary. I went on LinkedIn. I had this whole, guess like career crisis. I found myself I was at my athletic trainer actually. And, they say the body keeps score. So I was there and he was asking me, he goes, what's your ideal day look like? And I'm like, I can't even tell you that. And I felt like that was really silly. I was like, I should be able to tell you what my ideal day looks like. Not like vacation day, but what, Monday through Friday looks like. So it got me thinking, and I was like, I'm really not doing what I should be doing. So I went on LinkedIn, and again, it was like perfect time for me, God's grace. There was a VP of marketing job position was open for a short par four. And I'm a lifelong golfer. Started golfing when I was 3 years old. I played in middle school and high school. It's always been something that's really big in my family. Really just enjoy it as a hobby. Follow the sport, the industry. And I was like, how did I not know that this company was in basically the Sarasota Manatee area?
Right.
I start looking more into it. Lo and behold, our CEO is really good friends with one of my really good friends. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, no pressure. Here's my resume. If you're comfortable, like Bobby DeMeo is our CEO. I was like, Bobby is hiring. Can you please pass this along? And then I also applied in LinkedIn. So our good friend Steve texts me. He's like, well, it's the US Open. So you're not going to hear anything for at least 7 days. Like Bobby's traveling, like I can't promise anything. So he's like, just sit tight, which was great. I'm glad he managed my expectations. Monday after the US Open, Bobby texted me and was like, hey, can you come in? And so things happened really quickly after that. It was very serendipitous. It was one of those things where everything that I have done and grown in my career and worked on really was complementary to what the business needed when I was brought in. And so I know it's kind of a little long-winded, but that's the serendipitous experience of getting into this role. And I always say it's not what you know, it's who you know, but at some point, it is what you know. And it was one of those things you don't know why you're always doing things in your career, why people cross your paths. And it's been fortunate for me to get me here.
Right. That's an amazing story. I like what you said about, what's your perfect day look like? I think I'm gonna think on that later and see what I
Yeah.
can come
Yeah.
up
Get
with.
back to me.
That's great. That's an extensive resume. It's definitely something to be proud of there. With all that in mind there, what's your typical day look like?
Yeah. So my perfect day now,
Yeah.
typical day, I am a really big proponent of waking up early. I feel like the early bird gets the worm, and to really have time for yourself and time to get yourself right. So I wake up, I usually kind of putz around in the dark, and I go to the gym early. I'm like a 5 a.m. worker, outer, always
Wow.
been that way, consistent. So I try to exercise every day, get an hour, 45 minutes to an hour in doing something, weight training. I like F45, but if I'm traveling, I'll go walk on the treadmill at the gym. I do a lot of traveling for work, or like lift light weights or do something like that. Just get the blood flowing. For me, it's some sort of podcast. I try to pick something that adds value to my life. Although I will say, like, I do like some really there's one called Juicy Scoop, which is like celebrity gossip. Something that really I can get myself out of my own head, kind of open myself up to things. I love to learn new things. So I think it's important to try to find an outlet for learning, whether it's reading or listening or watching something at least once during the day. Like I said, I have a 4-year-old daughter, so it's getting her ready and getting out the door for school. And then I leave for work. I listen to usually a work related podcast on my way to work. Not consistently. Sometimes I like country music, so I go through that, but pretty often, I would say three weeks out of the month, I'm usually listening to a podcast, something industry specific. With AI and the trends we're seeing with that, I think trying to stay on top of stuff, especially, nobody tells you this when you go to work, but you always, when you're first starting out in your career and entering in, you do a lot of work and you do a lot of things where you're like, why aren't the people at the top doing this? But then you grow in your career and you're like, oh, they're like strategically looking at things in a different way. Like, yes, you do things and you run different reports, but like the actual, like, maybe putting a deck together, for example, or like inputting briefs and things like that. It's all of those skill sets you get further away from as you continue to grow or as your business grows. So I think
Right.
trying to keep a finger on the pulse when you're not utilizing tools day in and day out is really important, especially in a leadership role, so you can understand and relate to your staff or what they're
Mhm.
experiencing. So do that, get to the office. I usually start my day with like 10, 15 minutes of emails, making sure all of our highlights are done. Then I go and check in with all of my staff that's in the office. I do have some remote employees, but we're really family, I would say, like environment. So kind of just walk around, kick the tires, see how everybody's doing, if they need anything. And then usually I'm in meetings. So I'm pretty much in meetings, typical day, 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then close out my day. Any wrap up things I need to do, emails. I usually stay late one night a week so I can catch up on all my to-dos and the piece of not having anybody in the office who needs me. And go home, eat dinner, play with my daughter, bedtime, bath time, all that fun stuff. Wake up and repeat.
It's a pretty perfect day. I like that.
Yeah,
That's good.
it is. It is.
Speaking of AI, as someone that works with AI quite a bit and focuses around that, with the trend of AI being the big new thing, what are you guys doing for that? How is that affecting your business?
Well, I think AI is just touching almost every part of our business. I mean, from product procurement and looking at product life cycles, purchasing, to how it integrates with our web platforms, to
Right.
even how do we leverage it just creatively. So big things are, how do we quick turn ads? How do we, creative in general,
Yeah.
utilize it for product uh designs and things like that. I mean, it's incredible. We can build tech packs from it,
Right.
utilize AI to build entire product lines. We can scope out and plan and forecast with it. So really it's harnessing it. There's still a lot of human element that's needed. And
Hmm.
you get in here and you're like, wow, I'm sure you feel the same way. Like you're mind blown at like what
Right.
is returned to you.
Right.
We've been playing around with Riplet, the website AI. If you're not familiar with it, check
Hmm.
it out. It can build a website in like 10 seconds with prompts. So, I mean, things like that where you're just able to speed up timelines of go to market so much quicker and also be a little more flexible with what you're seeing. And for
Right.
us, we are privately owned, so it's nice we can spool things up, throw it out there and see if it sticks. If it doesn't,
Right.
we can.
Right. Yeah. AI is so powerful, especially with creatives, like you said, and just generating that content in general. I found it very useful for editing content as well. It's actually how I edit my TikToks and Reels and Shorts and stuff like that. Just punch it through the AI system, and I'll make some cool TikToks for me. But yeah, it's also so useful for automating any kind of outreach or any kind of follow-ups. For example, for our business, we use it to automate lead generation and follow-ups and nurturing the leads as well. It's so useful for that. If you guys aren't already doing that, I recommend getting
Yeah.
going on that.
Yeah, it's well, we do a lot of like strategy poke holes, which I love too. Is like, hey, look at our promotions plan, poke holes in it, like optimize it. Like, how would you make it stronger for this type of ROI we want to see? Like you're
Right.
saying, yeah, which is,
Right.
I mean, it's nice to have an objective view, very affordably, I guess. You're used
Right.
uh paying, you pay agencies or consultants thousands and thousands of dollars, historically before this to come in and look at it. And now you throw it up in Chat GPT and you're like, oh, okay.
Right. Right. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I guess right off the back of that, using these new AI and trends in the golf industry, where do you guys want to be in 6 to 12 months? What are you guys shooting for? What's your goals for the future?
Great question. So our goals for the future, well, our entire mission here is to provide the best value in golf, whether that be through an apparel experience or an event experience. So for us in the next 6 to 12 months is continuing to look at how we do that and expand upon it. So how do we diversify our apparel portfolio, whether that's through partnering with premium brands, and how do we get them customer to the brand? So what is the need? Is money changing? Because we look at the economic factors. Is it the vehicle in which it's getting to the consumer? Is subscription box the best for them? Maybe it's a one-off. Maybe it's the opportunity to pick and choose what they want. You know, we have a lot of people who love the mystery. Christmas morning every month. It's a great thing. You also have demographics. women are the fastest growing demographic in golf. So for us, that's a big focus. How do we get more women into the short par four membership and family? Women shop differently than men. So looking at our goals are, how do we meet the needs of the customer? So we're constantly talking about this, putting plans in place to evolve, really 12 months, 18 months. How do we continue to be at the forefront? We are the number one subscription in golf. There's a couple more that have come out that are coming for us hard, which is great. Competition's a wonderful thing. It helps us grow and push ourselves. And for a long
Right.
time, we were the ones doing it. So it's nice to see how other people are also envisioning what they think subscription should look like. And so for us, it's really trying to, one, look at industry in terms of, when I say industry, like golf, not in the consumer apparel industry, but really looking at what is trending in golf in general. Look at who's coming into golf and then putting plans in place. Again, going back to what our mission is like, how do we be the best value? So whether that's monetary or you're getting the biggest bang for your buck because you're in the short par four family.
Right. Yeah, it's great. It's so valuable for businesses to go into depth about who's buying their products, why they're buying their products, and all that sort of stuff. It seems like that's your specialty there, and why you're in the role you are.
Yeah, no, and it is. I mean, understanding the psychology of consumers is number one. And it's interesting how, I mean, I think about this a lot, and you probably do too, because this is your world living in digital, but how our algorithms and what we're putting into, like, consuming into our brains every day, how it now retrains us to
Right.
engage and then to action on things. So constantly looking at what that consumer behavior looks like, and it changes. I mean, TikTok has completely rewired Gen Z's brain, and that's something we have to think about, right? Golf isn't just your grandpa's sport anymore. During COVID, golf popped off. Now you had Top Golf pop up. You have all these simulator places. You have places like PopStroke that Tiger Woods has invested in. And so you have something that used to be very exclusive to a country club crowd, now mainstream to everybody, and people are getting more and more involved. So how do we meet them where they're at? And also it's an expensive sport. And so how do
Right.
we, again, you don't want to worry about that, but you still want to look good. You still want to have the best gear. You still want to show up, because if you look good, you feel good, you play good sort of mentality.
Right.
So doing all of that, but it really goes down to, like, at the end of the day, like the consumer perception and behavior.
Right. So when you take in that information and you say, okay, these are the trends that we're seeing, and these are the behaviors or the psychology that you're observing, how are you implementing that into your creatives and to your marketing?
Great question. So we kind of twofold. It's one, with the creative, it's adapting and evolving, I think, our brand look. So we had, it's making small changes where you're not completely disrupting the
Right.
consumer pattern of what they're used to seeing, but it's also being relevant. In the golf space, there is a lot of apparel brands, and we're unique in that we are more service platform based because we are a subscription and you can
Right.
get lots through us, but we still have apparel as our main, I would say, bread and butter that we're getting out there. So we do compete in some sense against these brands. And when you have a Devereaux Golf or a Melbourne Golf or Eastside Golf, where they're really pushing the limits of what golf is
Hmm.
and what they want golf to be, um, we have to balance that, because there's a dichotomy that's happening where there's a lot of dollars being spent with some of these, like, more boutique or trend brands in the social platforms where majority consumers are, but also like the practicality of the apparel and clothing and like going up against that and telling the story. And so it's looking at what's working for them and then taking those pieces, applying it into our brand evolution and our content and creative strategy so that we can be relevant in the space, but still on brand.
Gotcha. Yeah, without being too out of pocket or trying to blaze a new path. You're trying to stick in what's popular, but also be true to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. And
Gotcha.
it's, you also have to ride the algorithm. So it's
Right.
constantly looking at what performance looks like. And there's things where you, I don't understand why certain things pop off. I mean, you can analyze it every which way and go, is it the time of day, whatnot? I mean, Ryder Cup. We have a Ryder Cup head cover, but it's a reel of a Ryder Cup head cover, and it's just slowly turning with the American flag and back. And I mean, that thing had millions of views. And then you have like a funny skit and it's got 60,000. And you're like, oh,
Right.
why one soar and the other one didn't? And you're like, this is a product piece, and this is something that actually was, I think, a little more engaging and humorous, trying to make sense of that.
Right, right.
Crazy. And you're like, I guess it's just the beast.
Changes every day.
Yeah.
There's different trends every hour or every day, sometimes even.
Yeah.
So with all that entail, with you guys wanting to be more relatable to the trends that's going on in the golf industry and appeasing the new golfers, what's your bottlenecks that's slowing you down from being where you want to be?
Um, I think some of it is just capacity. We're people, and as much as we have these tools we were just talking about with AI, at the end of the day, there is a capacity that we all have to get things turned around, implemented, pushed out, and also
Hmm.
tested. Testing, I think, is overlooked a lot in the world today. I think there's these, unless you're in like a really, really big corporation and they're following like very strict Gantt procedures to implement product pipelines and
Right.
marketing, campaigns and things like that. But you just go, you throw it out there, see what sticks. So I think that's capacity is a bottleneck for us. I also think we can be our own worst enemies, where we like to try a lot of things. So we introduced Whatnot into our selling fold this year, which has been really fun. But it's also, we're not a huge marketing team. Like I said, we're 11 people with myself. And so you don't have a massive department that has 20 people that go run Whatnot. So it takes a lot to go into these shows, even though you could just pop on there. But we have to inventory
Right.
plan. We have to then work with our operations team to get all of the product that was sold out. And there's marketing that goes into that. And even though it's like a low hanging fruit, it's still time consuming. So we throw that into the fold when we're traveling almost every other week for golf tournaments, events, sponsorships. We have creator partnerships that we're fostering, nurturing, supporting them, putting things together. So it's a long-winded way to say, like, we create our own bottlenecks, but a good thing, right? I always tell my
Right.
team, opportunity for us to fine tune ourselves. And, it's great to be able to multitask on some of the operational sides. We're dealing with what's going on with tariffs and just larger economic things. So
Right.
some of those create bottlenecks for us getting things in, fulfilling on products. We do
Right.
experiential boxes, we have licensing partnerships, and some of those manufacturing lead times have been affected over the last, 200 days. So having to pivot and rethink about things and also manage customer service. And I think that's just a big one too, is customer service in general.
Right.
It can be a bottleneck because, you live and die by your customer, and it's the great is the great, but the bad is like the lowest of the lowest. And it's the squeaky wheel gets the most attention. And, your naysayers, you want to pay attention to them because you don't want them out there and being keyboard warriors. Like, you want to help them improve their
Right.
opinion of you. And that can be a bottleneck too, just in terms of getting more leads in, or we get people saying, I saw bad reviews, or, this and that, or I was on this website, or, Reddit. There's not enough hours in the day to kind of try to like crisis PR and manage
Right.
everything. And I never knew. I thought working with moms and babies was going to be the most opinionated industry I've ever been in, right? Like, moms are crusaders. I never knew that grown adult men with golf apparel would be the worst. We see so
Right.
many comments. I was like, really? Wow.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that there. I used to work in country clubs. That was my main thing. I was an intern assistant golf professional. over the summer and at some other courses. And I'll say at the country clubs, the wives, they come in and they'll buy what they like. They're not too much complaining. They get what they want, and the guys will come in and they'll be upset that they don't have the shorts they like or the specific brand of shirts or whatever it may be.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty wild. There's a funny Instagram reel some guy did. It was like, wait until you see men in pro shops. And it was like making fun of guys in pro shops and like
Right,
being very specific and particular and like talking to, the people working in there and like complaining. And I was like, that's accurate.
right, right. Yeah, it's definitely adds a fun little spin to work there. Well, that almost wraps us up there. Is there any one message you like to leave with the audience before we wrap it up?
Specific to golf or just
In
marketing in general?
general, yeah, in terms of your story.
Oh, keep swimming. Just keep going. I think the big thing is have fun with it and be open to new opportunities. You never know what's going to cross your path. And I think, be okay with taking the leap.
Right. That's amazing. Thanks so much for being on today, Anna.
Of course. Thank you.